Nestle has been in Sri Lanka for over 100 years. We have been committed to enhancing the lives of the local community since the very beginning.
We purchase hundreds of thousands of litres of milk from 18,000 farmers every day.
Committed to increasing fresh milk production in Sri Lanka, we help local dairy farmers produce milk that meets our high-quality standards.
Nestle, empowering Sri Lankan dairy farmers.
Bringing you stories making headlines here at home and across the world. This is Primetime News coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bonzo.
A very good evening. I'm Shine Drampati. Let's start off with a look at your headlines. Cyclone Hudhud triggers winds of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour in sea areas around the island. Several parts of the Mathura and Ratnapura districts inundated. Sri Lankan fishermen stranded off the coast of Myanmar. No decision on party stance at presidential election. A statement from the leader of the Democratic Party. UNP voices opposition to limitation on 2015 budget debate time frame.
Moving on to the stories in detail now. Since last night, heavy rains and strong winds were experienced in Colombo, its suburbs and many other areas of the island. Let's cross over to the Newsfirst Weather Centre where Sandru Ferdinando is standing by with a comprehensive report on the prevalent weather situation. Sandru, over to you.
Thank you, Maina. Well, the cyclonic storm in the Bay of Bengal close to the Andaman Island is known as Hudhud. Now, this name Hudhud was given by the Met officials in Oman, and what you see right behind me is the latest image we've obtained from the Kalpana weather satellite. And as you can see, the storm is heading to the mainlands in India, and this could strengthen up the winds around the islands from Puttalam to Kalasantre via Mana, and from Galle to Portugal via Hamathura could be rough at times, as the wind speeds can be strengthened up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. Now, the Met Department also said that there could be several spells of showers or thunder showers experienced around the sea areas in the island, and they also said that many parts in the island could experience thunder showers or showers. So let's now take a look at how this adverse weather affected the island.
Many reservoirs in the country have reached their spill levels as a result of the heavy downpour that was experienced. The Vimala Surendra Reservoir in Nuwara had already broken its spill level as of this afternoon. Our correspondent based in the area said that the Castleview Reservoir is also nearing its spill level. 2 spill gates of the Lakshapana Reservoir were opened today. The District Secretary of Nuwara has warned locals residing on the banks of the Kalani River to remain vigilant over the rising water levels. This was how the Devon Falls looked today as a result of the heavy rains. Transportation along the Nuwara-Avissa-Vella road was hampered after an earth embankment collapsed in the Bangala 7 area in Nanumaya. Meanwhile, an earth embankment collapsed in the northern area on the Hatton-Lakshapana main road, forcing the road to be closed for several hours. A large tree uprooted and collapsed near the Rajawatha railway station in Peradeniya. Our correspondent in the area said that the incident took place at 7 this morning. Railway operations were also disrupted as a result. Roads and low-lying areas in Ratnapura, Kahangama, Kuruvita, Panagama, Watugedara, Kiriyala and Karangoda areas were inundated due to heavy showers. Our correspondent in the area said that low-lying areas were inundated as several tributaries of the Kalu River reached spill level. Our correspondent added that a tree had collapsed onto the electricity cables in the Madhu area in Ratnapura. Many houses in Medihit were submerged as a result of the heavy rains. Our correspondent in the area said that the floodwaters that inundated the Akurasa-Bangama road last night were receding as of this afternoon.
Meanwhile, the senior geologist of the Landslide Research and Disaster Management Unit of the National Building Research Organization, Gamini Jayasitha, said that landslide warning has been issued to areas such as Kegol, Kitulgara, Kuruduvilla and Kandy. Let's now cross over to the main news desk for more stories.
Well, thank you very much, Chandra. Moving on to more local news making headlines. Sri Lankan fishermen who were stranded in international waters for several days are currently about 58 nautical miles off the coast of Myanmar. Now, this was revealed when the fishermen got in touch with the Dikwala Satellite Communications Center through a satellite phone.
According to the fishermen, around 38 fishing vessels are currently heading towards Myanmar.
सामान्य विधि दिए मैं म्यांमार रोड मैं कोच्चर दूर के तरह सामान्य अन्य दिनों मैं तीर के लिए रेडा
आरे पायनी रहा है तम पनस सड़क पगे तमें लो दे मेरे को इन हरी इंद्र दिन क्या न प्रधान वराय वाल नहीं ना यान्ना एक तमें आहाने यार की दिन नहीं मुड़ो किट्रू यान्ना वराय मेरे को लो आहाने एक सिलेक्ट कर ल किया न लो एक उल्ला दान दांगी ने बोर्ड रे अतुल नहीं रेडा
The ambassador in Myanmar informed us to send over a couple of representatives to rescue the 3 boats that were caught by the Navy. The 38 boats are currently in this region, 19.016 degrees north and 92.311 degrees east. We believe that they will reach a harbour within 10 hours.
Sri Lankan ambassador to Myanmar, H.R. Piasari, notes that negotiations are underway to free the fishermen of the 3 boats that were taken into custody. Meanwhile, Director General of the Fisheries Department, Nimal Hettiarachchi, notes that they had requested the Myanmar government to provide safe haven to the Sri Lankan fishermen, adding that they had been designated 2 islands on which they could dock.
Now they are very safe. With the support, they are getting support from the Myanmar authorities. There are no casualties for the crew members. There are no damages for the boats also. They are waiting in Myanmar Sea until the weather conditions will become calm.
The government is saying that this is an illegal trip. The answer by the ministry should not be that they violated international maritime boundaries. What they should have done is to initially coordinate with the close-by countries and ensure the safety of these fishermen. Thereafter, they could deal with anything else.
The Democratic Party says it is yet to reach a decision on the party's stance at the upcoming presidential election. Party leader Sarath Fonseca made this statement at a media briefing held today.
We have been made to think a bit more about how we will face elections in the future. We have 3 alternatives. The priority is to put forward candidates from the party. If we build this party on a new political conceptualization and in order to change the political culture of the country, then we will not achieve our goals by plugging into another party. The second alternative is that we do not contest, that we boycott this election. We do not believe that the ruler of this country has a legal or moral right to run for a 3rd term in office. We see people who act against the constitution as traitors to the country. If these individuals are deceiving the people, distorting the law and are taking undue benefits by distorting the constitution, then they are definitely on the top of the list of traitors. If the individual known as Mahinda Rajapaksa is contesting in this election, then we will definitely reject the election. We will not accept it as a fair and legitimate election. We see it as an election being held as per the personal need of this individual. The third alternative that we have is to support a common candidate from the opposition. Certainly, various opinions are being touted in this case. We see that if the party adopts a certain policy and if the party has embarked on a journey, then everyone in the party must have the spine to continue on this journey. If we are to detour from this journey and pledge support to a common candidate, then there must be extraordinary reasons for this. I believe that if we pledge support to another common candidate, there is the possibility of decline for our party.
Newsfirst correspondent Chandana Kuruparachi, who was attacked while covering recent clashes in Halia Labadula, continues to receive treatment at a private hospital in Colombo.
Minister of Public Relations and Public Affairs Mervyn Silva visited Chandana Kuruparachi in hospital today.
කවුරු ගැහුවත් අසීමිත බලය පාටිය මුදල තමයි මේ ප්‍රහාරය කරන්නේ. යම් කිසි දෙයක් වීඩියෝ කරන්න යන කෙනෙකුට හෝ වාර්තාකාරයෙකුට හරි පහළ දෙනවා නම් ඒක මම හිතන්නේ උගේ ජාතකයේ තියෙන ලොකු වැරද්දක්. මොනවා ලක්ෂයක් වල දීලා යනවා. මේ මගේ සල්ලි කොහේ? ආලු සල්ලි නෙවෙයි. රුපියල් දෙකක් තුනක් තියනවද නෑනේ නේද? මිස් කොහොමද? එතන දැනන්නේ දැන්. හරි මම සුවයෙන් කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. මේක දාලා තියලා හොඳයි නේ. මේක මේ රිටර්න් වෙන්නේ නැහැ බයින්. අනේ තමයි දුක දැක්කම මේ හරි අපරාධයක් මේ. මේව මම එලා දකින්න. මිනිස්සු බැන ගන්නවා. දොස් කියා ගන්නවා. නමුත් ප්‍රහාරය කිරීම වැරදි. ඒ බලනවාගේ නෝනේ දරුවෝ මොනතරම් වේදනාවක්ද කියන්නේ. ඒ වේදනාව ඇති මුන්ට මේ සසරේ දරුවන් දෙන්න. මේවා කවුරු කරත් බරපතල වැරදි. ඒ වගේ අනේ යන්නකෝ කරගෙන. ඒ මම කියන්නේ මේක කවුරු කරත් වැරදි.
What I am saying is that it is wrong no matter who did it. I was harassed at Rupavahini. My friends may have done some things there. There are people in this country who love me. But I have never carried out such actions, nor will I. I propose to the government and the media minister that they please make some financial donation to this innocent journalist who is a father of 3 and was a victim of such a severe crime.
UMP parliamentarian Iran Vikramaratne says the government has limited the time frame in which the 2015 budget is to be debated in parliament.
The government noted yesterday that the budget speech would be delivered on the 24th of October and that the debate will be held until the 18th of November, a 20-day debate. In truth, this is a limitation on time for debate. Usually, the budget debate is held over 26 days. The government has taken a unilateral decision in this case. We must first state that we are completely opposed to this. Leave alone the standing orders in Parliament, the government must respect the laws laid down by the Constitution. The government has the responsibility of presenting this budget, but the debate is the responsibility of the opposition. Around the world, the budget debate is known as the debate of the opposition. We call on the government to hold a full debate to ensure that the debate is held over 26 days. Article 148 of the Constitution notes that Parliament has power over all financial matters. This is the most important debate of all the debates held in Parliament throughout the year. The government must allow the budget debate to proceed as usual. There is only one reason for this decision. They are working as per a political agenda. They are not adhering to and working in keeping with the law. They are violating the law. We ask the government once again to grant the full time frame for the budget debate.
It is my belief that what he said is in line with the regulations. Section 7 of the Parliament regulations clearly states that at least 26 days prior to the 31st of December have to be allocated for the budget debate. I do not see any provision in these regulations to limit the time frame any further. It is not only the number of days but also the number of hours too have been stipulated. On these days, the budget debate must be held from 9 a.m. to noon and from 1:30 to 6:30. If any other matters come up, they can only be taken up after the budget debate at 6 p.m. In order to make any changes to this, it is the Speaker that has the power to make a decision following discussions with both the government and the opposition in Parliament.
The UN Human Rights Committee review of Sri Lanka's record in upholding the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights was taken up yesterday and today in Geneva, Switzerland.
It may be observed that collateral damage may be caused in any war, even those conducted under the auspices of the UN. What is significant, may I add, is that at the end of that conflict, nearly 300,000 innocent civilians moved back through spores created in the defences of the LTT to the government-controlled areas at the time and were brought into the IDP centres and were looked after. So I think that makes very clear that the Army Court of Inquiry has not just done its job, but they have made public a summary. Now, as far as the court does not blame any army member And if any new evidence is presented by any person giving precise information on civilian casualties, it is committed that such instances will be investigated further by giving such persons the opportunity to present their evidence. There seems to be a sense of prejudgment of the Commission of Inquiry that is taking place on disappearances, which mandate has been broadened. And I want to say very clearly that with respect to commissions, ask yourselves how long the Bloody Sunday investigation took, how long the Royal Commission of Aboriginal People in Canada took, even the South African Truth Commission. Now in Sri Lanka's case, when the LLRC was sitting, everybody said, this is useless, this is hogwash, the report will never come. When the report came, it was said, when the report was given to the President, it was said, it will never be published. When it was published, it was said, Sri Lanka will never implement it. When a national plan of action was put in place, it was said that it was not practical. I want to assure you that Sri Lanka is doing all possible.
We're not judging Sri Lanka. What we're trying to evaluate is the extent of Sri Lanka's compliance with specific provisions of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, to which it is a party and without reservation. We also don't do comparisons. We're not in the business of saying, well, this country's better than that country, so we don't have to worry about it. We recognize that Sri Lanka's come to the end of a bloody war, fought against a party that didn't hesitate to resort to terrorist methods in achieving their objectives. That doesn't mean, however, that that's all there is to it. Either within the context of the conflict or not, over the years there have been substantial, and over the decades, allegations of widespread disappearances, fewer in recent times that are reported to the Working Group on Disappearances, extrajudicial executions, and certainly torture, and zero tolerance or no zero tolerance. If it's happening, the means of enforcing that zero tolerance obviously need to be reviewed.
Now, views were also expressed on the topic of freedom of expression at the review.
May I state that the government of Sri Lanka rejects the assertion that there is a continued trend of attacks on freedom of expression, peaceful assembly and association, particularly against human rights defenders, journalists and families of victims. We maintain that there are unresolved cases of violence against media personnel, but that there is no restriction placed on what may be reported by the press. It should also be noted that during the period of the present government, no press censorship has been imposed. Sri Lanka remains committed to taking steps necessary to ensure the safety of media personnel and institutions.
Still on local news, following discussions with the President yesterday, Minister of Special Projects S.M. Chandrasena noted that a decision was reached to create a stable price for corn.
The distribution of corn seeds among 20,000 farmers commenced today under the Ranbima Arunalu program launched by the North Central Provincial Council. The aim of the program is to ensure that the cultivation of corn is spread over an area of 100,000 acres in the Anuradhapura district. I convinced the President not to import even a seed of corn because at present the corn is being successfully cultivated in the Anuradhapura and Kurunegala districts as well as in the Monragala and Badula areas. I stated that our corn harvest will be greater than our demand for it. The President then notified the Secretary of the Finance Ministry to not import corn seeds to the country at all. Yesterday we were able to safeguard your harvest for the Maha season. Thereafter, regardless of how much corn is cultivated, there won't be a dip in prices because we have decided to give a stable price for corn in the future just like we did for paddy.
Today is Wap Full Moon Poya Day when bhikkhus conclude their Vaspavaranya or rainy retreat. The histories of the Sasana notes that it was on Wap Full Moon Poya Day that Lord Buddha visited the heavenly abode of Tawata himself, following which he terminated his retreat in order to descend to the city gate of Sankasapura.
While bhikkhus ordained before the rainy retreat conclude the retreat of Wap Full Moon Poya Day, bhikkhus ordained following the season will terminate their retreat on Il Poya Day. Wap Poya Day is also the Poya Day on which the Katina Chivara puja commences. Full Moon Poya Day also marks the day on which King Devanampiyatissa sent the minister Aritha to King Dharmasoka in India to obtain the boar sapling that would come to be known as the Jaya Shri Mahabodhi. The Matata Tita program commenced to free the people of alcohol and intoxicants is a much discussed topic at present. The opening of taverns and liquor shops on a full moon Poya Day is a punishable offence. The Excise Department notes that if a licensee were to open a tavern or liquor shop today, steps will be taken to invalidate their license and initiate legal action. While such laws and regulations are in place, several sermons held to mark the Poya Day today focused on the sale and consumption of liquor. Delivering a sermon at the Poya Day program of the Sunetwa Devi Pirivana in Pepiliana today, the chief incumbent of the Sri Nagavihara in Kotte expressed these views.
Lankawa loke wedi mamat pembun ratwaling ekak api anatai dan dupat kamat ek hariyete bonni bisa mat pempin betul.
Sri Lanka has one of the highest rates of alcohol consumption in the world. We are despondent. Because of poverty, the alcohol that is consumed is poisonous. Ethanol is a very poisonous spirit. It is used to embalm corpses. They use urea as well. This is what is used to distill alcohol. This rots the liver, the kidneys and the intestines. Devotees, it is only recently that the consumption of ethanol began. There is a name for it in Monoragala too.
Badawal kunu wenawa mewata. පින්නතුනි මේ මෑතක තමයි එතනෝල් බොන්න පටන් ගත්තේ මේ මොනරාගල පැත්තේ ඒකට නමකුත් දාලා තියෙනවා එතනෝල් වලට මොකද දානවා කියන්නේ මේ ඇති හිටියා.
There is a name for the liquid distilled from urea too.
හදන්නේ ඒකට කියන්නේ බොකු දිරා කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක ටිකක් බලනකොට බොක නිකන් මේ අමුඩු ලේසු වගේ දිරනවා.
Delivering a sermon at the Rabbe Gama Bollegala Bihare in Udunura, Venerable Rajangane Vimala Dhammatero had this to say.
මතට තිතක් තියෙනවා. ඔය හැමදේම කියනවා. මේක නිකන් බීරියලින්ට වීණා ගහනවා වගේ. අපිත් ඉතින් මොකද කරන්නේ? වීණාව ගහනකොට අත් දෙක පොඩ්ඩක් දෙපැත්තට වෙනින් හින්දා අපි චුට්ටක් වෙනෙනවා.
There is the Matata Tita program and plenty of other programs. This is like playing the violin for deaf elephants. We sway a little bit in tune with the movement of their hands as they play the violin. But we do not know what was played. It is the same tune they play all the time. Have any of these personalities done what they have said they will do at their political meetings? All they want is their cut. No matter how many stories they tell us, this has become a country where they cannot even close down liquor shops and taverns on Poya days. It is a country where bottles are bought beforehand and sold for higher prices on Vesak Poya day. We cannot let the country fall into darkness as a result of ignorant politicians. These are your children. If we are to see a future generation, then everyone must set the aspiration in their minds to free the country from this parasite.
ගලව ගන්නට හැමදිනාම අදිෂ්ඨානයක් අද දවසේ හිතේ තැම්පත් කර ගන්න ඕනේ අනාගත පරම්පරාවක් දකින්න ඕනේ නම්.
Meanwhile, in a cease and desist letter issued as per the instructions of Cargill Ceylon PLC, the legal firm Barnes writes that the statements made by Mr. J. Sri Ranga on the mineral program on or about the 14th of September 2014 have been motivated and actuated by animosity and malice against their client and are designed to lower the esteem with which their client is held by members of the society.
The cease and desist letter reads that the said statements would have imputed in the minds of viewers and listeners that their client is not an entity with honesty and integrity and that hence those statements have been published with animus injuriandi. Noting that their client's reputation has been tarnished by these statements, the letter states that this in turn has affected the reputation and goodwill which their client is enjoying amongst the trade and business circle. Furthermore, Warner's writes that they have been instructed by their client, Cargill Ceylon PLC, to demand that MTV MBC Channels Private Limited take corrective action to cause the statements to be retracted by Mr. J. Sri Ranga and provide them with prompt written assurance.
People living in Chilaw and its surrounding areas are facing problems in obtaining a clean water supply. Drinking water for the Daduroya Udakala village, Muneswaram and surrounding areas is supplied through the Chilaw water supply scheme. Water is supplied by the scheme to over 7,000 families. Locals lament that over the recent past that water that is being supplied to them is not pure.
සුදු රෙද්දක් හොදගන්න නෑ ළමයි ඉස්කෝලේ අරගන්න විදියක් නෑ තනිකරම වතුර කහම කහ පාටයි මෙයාලට බොණ්ඩ තියා මූණක්වත් හොදන්න බැරි තත්ත්වයේ වතුර තියෙන්නේ නැත්තෙම අපිට
They must be sending us the water from a dirty lake or from the Daduroya. There are mosquitoes in the water. Yesterday, I took a bottle to them with mosquitoes. When I informed them of this, the public health inspector asked whether we want the water supply to be stopped. I told him if that is the decision, we would appreciate if we were not given muddy water to drink. When Newsfirst contacted the officer in charge of the water supply scheme, Dingri Bandara, he said that this situation has arisen as a result of a malfunction of a filter in the water supply scheme.
The parents of students enrolled at the private medical college in Malambe called on the chairman of the National Movement for Social Justice, Venerable Madhulwave Sobhitathero, today.
The parents visited the Sri Nagavihara in Kotte today to discuss the matter of objections raised by the Government Medical Officers Association to prevent their children from being trained at public hospitals.
What we say is this: if there is an issue with the institute and its standard, we challenge the students studying at the Government Medical College to sit for an exam with our children. You can look at the differences in the marks they obtain. This has been accepted by the Ministry of Higher Education and the Ministry of Health. Who else is needed? If they continue to make false allegations against us, we will continue to take legal action against them. We will not be let down. If they continue with this, we will bring our children to the streets as well.
We are aware of this issue. However, our children are also studying in Nepal, Bangladesh, China and even in India. They study at private universities and obtain their degrees before returning to the country. We have to accept that. This cannot be a second-grade thing. The government must monitor this. There are thousands of private schools. Then that too will be wrong. The government needs to monitor them so that there will be no difference. What needs to be done is to bring the parties concerned together and discuss the issue to reach a consensus. The government has to intervene to resolve this. If the university was accepted by the government, then it is the government that must intervene in this matter and not remain silent.
On Sports First tonight, it's a look at the bitter truth.
On Sunday, the bitter truth revealed that the Badminton Association, headed by Suraj Dandenia, seems to be giving an unfair opportunity for children with influential parents when selecting shuttlers for international tours. The father of junior national champion Bhuvaneka Gunathilaka, Sarath Gunathilaka, made yet another revelation on Sunday. He noted that officials at the Badminton Association have been pressuring Bhuvaneka not to compete at the National Badminton Championship in the under-19 age group. Sarath Gunathilaka noted that the officials had threatened to cut off all benefits being given to Bhuvaneka through the association if he competes. It is in this backdrop that junior national champion Bhuvaneka Gunathilaka is currently competing in the under-19 age category at the National Badminton Championship in Navalapitiya. It was revealed today that another conspiracy is being hatched against Bhuvaneka Gunathilaka, who defied the pressure being exerted by officials of the Badminton Association headed by Suraj Dandenia.
Bhuvaneka Gunathilakada
The bitter truth revealed the injustice caused to Bhuvaneka Gunathilaka. Corrupt officials at the Badminton Association are now exerting even more pressure on him. The first step in this process is to not include his name to the roster of shuttlers that will attend a training camp in Malaysia. His name has not been included in a badminton tournament that was to be worked off in Korea as well.
ඒකම කොරියාවේ පැවැත්වෙන තරඟාවලියටත් මේ ක්‍රීඩකයාගේ නම මේ වෙනකල් ඇතුල් වෙලා නැහැ.
Vice President of the SLBA, Palitha Hettiarachchi, confirmed to Sports First today that Bhuvaneka Gunathilaka had not been selected for the training camp in Malaysia. He also confirmed that Bhuvaneka's name has not been included in the tour to Korea as well. President of the SLBA, Suraj Dandenia, noted recently that the Development Committee of the association had identified several junior players, including Boneka Gunathilaka, as capable of achieving international victories and are taking steps to hone their skills. He reiterated that any shuttler who defies the disciplinary standards set out by them will be severely punished. However, neither the Minister of Sports nor the President of the SLBA have been able to set up a national badminton selection committee. Is the appointment of this committee being delayed in order to ensure that their players participate in these tournaments, thereby securing favours from certain parties?
දැන් අපි බැලුවොත් ක්‍රීඩා මැතිවරයාට අයථා ලෙස මුදල් හම්බ කළ බවට චෝදනා තියෙනවනේ. ඒක අපි නෙවෙයි කියන්නේ.
There are allegations that the Minister of Sports earned money through unlawful means. It is his wife that made the complaint to the Bribery Commission. Similar allegations were levelled against the chairman of the SLBA when he served at Sri Lanka Cricket. There is a close relationship between the Minister of Sports and the President of SLBA. It is the Minister of Sports that inadvertently gave him this position. Talented players will not receive an opportunity under this duo. Opportunities will be given to children who have rich or influential parents. It is these children that will be taken on international tours. We have our doubts whether these individuals are accepting money to include these shuttlers for international tours. This is a great injustice for the players.
ඉතින් මේක ඉතාමත් ලොකු අසාධාරණයක් මේ ක්‍රීඩාවට.
ඇත්තටම මම මෙවැනි ප්‍රශ්නයක් ගැන අහුවාම මේ තරම්
I am not surprised when I heard about this issue. We saw in the recent past how unsuitable persons were appointed to various sports institutions. These individuals can come to these positions only with the approval of the minister. I believe that the minister should take responsibility for it. I personally believe that an investigation should be held into it and the perpetrators should be punished.
If allegations that money was earned through illegal means are false, then why is there a hesitancy to conduct an impartial inquiry into it? How can justice be meted out to players if priority is given to wealth and power? The topic is open for debate.
Well, for the second time this year, sky watchers in Asia and the Americas are being awed by a total lunar eclipse or a blood moon.
Now we leave it tonight with this footage of the early morning blood moon over the US that was taken from NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. For the News First team, I am Shahin Durangpati.
And I'm Mahida Bongso. Enjoy the footage. Good night.